Hi Crocker coaches, we're going to go ahead now and go through a few of our drills to use as cool down. The first drill we're going to use for a cool down is a yoga tree pose. A great benefit of the tree pose is it calms the kids down. So as you have your kids come back from their run, if you tell them to stand in a nice tall pose is our mountain pose, and to very quietly bringing their hands to their heart. So now you've got their attention and you've got them to be real quiet. So you can kind of repeat standing nice and tall, hands at your heart in a chair pose. Have them go ahead and bring their foot right there alongside their heel as a kickstand. You can go ahead and tell them that this is a great mountain pose. From here, we'll go ahead and extend our arms up nice and tall, feeling that stretch our upper body. And if they're comfortable, they can gently bring that foot on up to their calf in that mountain pose. Or if they're comfortable, they can bring it just a little bit higher above their knee. If you want to challenge them a little bit more, they can spread their arms nice and wide, spread their branches, and the knee comes on out to the side. We'll gently have them bring their arms back together, bringing the branches together, lowering on down, hands back to their heart. After you get them nice and centered and quiet, we'll have them go ahead, standing nice and tall, refocusing, bringing the other heel to the side, using it as a kickstand. And once again, kickstand is a great mountain pose. Have them have their knee on out to the side, hips squared to the front, having them gently raise their arms up overhead, and if they're comfortable, they can bring that foot on up to their calves. They can spread their arms nice and wide in the tree branches. And as we have them hold the pose, it's a good time to tell them they have to be very quiet for balance and find a focus point, something to focus on. It helps their balance a little bit better. Have them then gently bring their hands back together, lowering them on down, and then lowering that foot. As they release from the pose, they can go ahead and shake out their hands and their legs. From here, we'll have them slowly transition to a flamingo pose, which is a great stretch for the front of their legs. Once again, having them stand nice and quiet, telling them it's a balance pose. Have them go ahead and take their foot in their hands and bending a knee just slightly, they can feel that stretch. As they press on in to their shoelace, that's where they're going to feel a greater stretch. Having them have both knees close together, and then you can slowly have them release, holding the stretch for about 20-30 seconds, releasing, and then they'll come on over to the other side, bringing that foot up into their hand, pressing where their shoelaces are, slight bend in the opposite knee, and feeling that great quadricep stretch. Focusing on being quiet for the balance and for the stretch. After we stretch the front of our legs, we'll go ahead and stretch the back of our legs now as we go into a calf stretch with our lunges. So we'll just gently take a step forward. As we go into a lunge, pay attention that the knee doesn't go over the toe. That back foot, they're going to be on their toes now. Have them stretch on back for their heel. That's where they're going to get that calf stretch, stretching down on the hill. Have them step on back. After this pose, hold for about 20 to 30 seconds, stepping on back. And as we demonstrate on the side, once again, taking that lunge, knee is aligned over the ankle, back foot is reaching on back, pressing back on that heel to stretch that calf. So we have them hold this lunge. It's another good balancing pose, telling them to be nice and relaxed as they stretch back and they can get that great calf stretch. After we finish off our calf stretch, we're going to go ahead and do a seated pose. Just gently have them come on down to a seated pose, and we'll go into a butterfly pose. On the butterfly pose, we can have them bring the soles of their feet together, and depending on how flexible they have, they can scoot them in just slightly, and they'll feel a great stretch on their inner thighs. To have a little greater stretch, you can ask them to gently, if they're comfortable, to place their elbows in their knees and hinging from their hips, leaning on forward. The pressure of their elbows can flatten down to give a little greater stretch to the inner thigh. So we'll have them hold this pose once again, 20 to 30 seconds. Then releasing from the pose, we have them bring their knees together, and we'll ask them to extend their legs nice and long. From here, they'll get a stretch in the back of their legs, in their hamstrings. With a slight bend in their knees, some kids are more flexible, they can keep them flatter. Have them reach for their toes. Just gently, what you want to tell them is to fold on forward. We don't want a rounding of the back, we want a nice flat back. I'll scoot around to the side so you can see this pose. Slight bend in their knees if they need it, hinging on down for their toes, and leaning on forward. So the chest is leaning on towards the top of their legs. They'll feel a stretch in the back of their legs, depending on how much their knees are bent, and also in their lower back. So we'll have them release from that pose, and from there we'll come into a pretzel pose and feel a nice stretch in our upper body. Having them bend one knee on up to their chest, gently cross it over on the other side. As they're sitting nice and tall, tell them to lift up on their spine and to take the opposite arm and wrap it around. Take the hand and reach on behind, and with a nice twist, they can look on behind themselves. We'll have them hold the pose for about 20 to 30 seconds, slowly coming back to the center, extending that leg, having them gently transition, bringing the other knee on up, crossing on over, taking the opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching back behind them, feeling that twist again, having them sitting up nice and tall. Slowly releasing, coming back to center. And they can just gently sit on up, stand on up, however is more comfortable for them. As you get them all to stand up, gently all together, have them reach over their partner and give their partner a nice big high five on one side, and then their partner on the other side a nice big high five. Good luck and have fun.